What's going on, guys? It's Jack Gillis, 1875 here, and I did say I'd have more interviews. My first interview of 2022, and I'm delighted to be joined by Jenna Penman from Hibernian Women. So thank you so much for taking your time out to speak to me today, Jenna.
Yeah, no problem. Looking forward to it.
Right, so we'll just jump right into it. My first question for you is, what got you into playing football, Jenna?
I think I've always been playing football ever since I was younger. I played all sports growing up. My older brother played football, so I think I was dragged in with him a wee bit, but just always loved being outside and getting active.
You mentioned some other sports there, so what other sports did you do when you were younger?
I did a lot of hockey, did some netball. Didn't swimming for a while as well, and then in like school, just whatever I could get my hands on.
So you describe yourself as quite a sporty person then?
Yeah, definitely.
So what made you choose football over the sort of other sports? Was there something like about football that you particularly liked, or was it just because, like you said, your brother was playing football and you just sort of went, oh, well, that looks like good fun, I'll go and do that?
I'd say probably a bit of both, to be honest. I love the team aspect of it. And then just kind of growing up, I had some really close friends that were in football, so that probably persuaded that way a wee bit more. And then, yeah, just getting involved with my brother, always in the back garden, playing with him, really just made me love the sport that extra wee bit.
So obviously you're a defender, so was there any sort of skills from hockey that you sort of picked up for that, sort of getting battered in there and getting a bit physical, and is that why you chose to be a defender?
When I was younger, I used to be midfield and then kind of got pushed back a wee, but I think I brought more of a physical side to when I played hockey and netball, maybe get into trouble from the refs a wee bit too much. But I don't know. I love the fact of being one of the back line, last kind of defense, then also being able to start the attack and push the ball forward.
Yeah, I think that is good because obviously as a fullback, that's what you want to be doing. You want to sort of balance it out between the both. Next question for you is, who was your favourite footballer growing up? Did you have any like a particular favourite player, or was there a few?
To be honest, I wasn't a big football watcher growing up. Only really started watching properly the past few years, but I think for me, one of my first memories of watching football was watching the World Cup final where Germany won, and just kind of seeing, was it Goetze's final goal, stuff like that. Just not players in particular, but I just like watching good football and finishes, good tackles, all that kind of stuff. So not exactly players in particular.
Yeah, I think like we mentioned that there. Like obviously, I'm a big German football nut, so it was good to hear about it because it's a goal in the World Cup final. I think just about any Scottish person supports Germany because it's like the enemy of your enemy is your friend with England and everything like that. So yeah, no, it was. I think that was a good one. Obviously, like I sort of fell in love with football by watching like that Germany team and everything like that. So yeah, it's good to hear that as well. So as a young player, who are your sort of role models within the women's game? Is there any players like within the women's game that you look up to in particular, especially Scottish players? So yeah, I just thought I'd ask you that one as a young player. It must be great. Obviously to witness Scotland at World Cup and everything like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, being a fullback, obviously the main one would be Lucy Bronze, looking at how she defends so well and how she attacks so well, and kind of showing that defenders can be one of the biggest players in the game. But then I guess from Scotland's side, look up to players like Kim Little. Well, she's from Aberdeen, so it's quite nice to have that link there. But then you've got the likes of Erin Cuthbert, Caroline Weir, just so good on the ball, and watching them play for the biggest clubs down in England shows you that there's somewhere to go, and it's really, really exciting to watch.
Yeah, I think Lucy Bronze for me is I can get quite passionate, to put it politely, about football, and I just was raging at her in the World Cup when she laid down on the ball after Scotland had got the goal back, and she just wouldn't give the ball back in that game in the World Cup. And ever since then, like as much as I think she's a good player, I just can't. I cannot say anything good about her ever since that. Because like, if it involves Scotland or Hibs or like one of my German teams, I just can't I can't look at it objectively. I sort of get a bit like one-sided in it. So I was like absolutely raging in that game. But that's enough about my anti-English bias there. So obviously, what was it like getting to play for Aberdeen? Obviously, you're from Aberdeen, so they're a huge club within Scottish football. A lot of tradition there. Most specifically in the men's game, with like they'd won that Cup Winners' Cup and they'd beaten Real Madrid and everything like that. So obviously Aberdeen's a bit of a religion up in the northeast of Scotland. So what was it like, getting to play for Aberdeen as a club?
I was so good. I think growing up, I played with lots of the players that are in the team now. So when I moved to Aberdeen, didn't feel like a huge big step because I've been playing with the girls for years. But then kind of getting to know all the older ones and the experience that they'd had playing with them was just fantastic. And then the coaches, I'd known them for years as well. And I think when you play for Aberdeen, you've got lots of little girls coming to watch the game because that's the team that they've got around them and that's what they've got to look up to. So I think that side of it's really special. The support and like background that they have is really exciting.
Yeah, I think like obviously it would have been good for you to sign for Aberdeen because obviously up that area at the time there was only really Forfar, Farmington and Aberdeen as a sort of like big teams that you could go to in women's football. So it must have been great to sign for that. Was there any other sort of clubs in the area that like female players go to, or was it just really like Aberdeen and Forfar that like most of the good players were going to?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what teams most have the pool. I played for Dundee United for a year, so I travelled to Dundee, but I think in our area, that's what you've got. And then since kind of Forfar folded, um, that's the big club in Aberdeen now, for all the girls all over the north of Scotland, not just the northeast to kind of look at. So if you look at that, you've got a big pool of young players to look for, and hopefully you'll find good players coming through.
Yeah, that's really good to hear because I think that's good that Aberdeen have really sort of got that sort of pull for all over the north because the north's a bit deprived of it right now. Obviously, you've got like Inverness, Cali, Thistle are down in the Championship, so the third division, and obviously Forfar reformed and they're in the recreational league, so which makes it like the fourth and fifth division. So I think it's good that Aberdeen have sort of got that pull now, so there's something for young girls to sort of aim for. But it's interesting you played for both sides of the new firm derby then, Dundee United and Aberdeen just as well. I think it's just well Aberdeen supporters didn't know that at the time, because that you probably get a stick for that playing for
I
both
know.
sides of the new firm derby. But like, how good is it for you? Obviously, you just mentioned Dundee United. Is it like good for you to see like Dundee United obviously just being promoted with the title, another big name coming up into the SWPL one? Is that good for you as a female player to see that there's more of the big names in Scottish football getting up there? Obviously, next season we're going to have quite a league: Hibs, Hearts, Dundee United, Rangers, Celtic, Motherwell. So a lot of big men's Premiership teams into the Women's Premier League. Is that good for you as a player to see that?
Yeah, I think it's really good. It kind of shows that the big clubs are also backing their women's sides a wee bit more. And as someone who played for Dundee United, it's good to see those players doing well and kind of getting a bit more recognition. And also for the north of Scotland, it's good because it's got more teams up in the top flight. It gives girls more of a chance to kind of push for it if they're a wee bit further away from some other clubs. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, I think it is. It's exciting times. And obviously, the SWPL one's going to get transitioned into being part of the SPFL now as well. So, what was your sort of reaction to that when you heard the news? I've spoken to a few other players about it before, like privately about it, but it's like must have been amazing for you to hear the news that like finally the SPFL have taken an interest and want to integrate it into the system a bit, which means you're going to get access to like some fantastic resources and like that. So, how's that for you as a female player that it is getting transitioned?
It just shows that we're making the steps. It's sometimes maybe a little bit slower than you'd want, so it's a bit frustrating, but it shows that women's football is growing and that more people are taking an interest in it. And for anybody involved in the game, like it's the next level. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I think that's right. Obviously we're beating England to it because the WSL isn't part of the Premier League. The Women's Championship isn't part of the EFL. Over in Germany, the Frauen Bundesliga and the Zweite Frauen Bundesliga aren't part of the Deutsche Fußballliga, which runs the men's Bundesliga in Bundesliga too. So I think Scotland, that's sort of making a bit of a European leader, that our league's getting integrated into the men's league structure as well, which is fantastic. I think it should all be under the one governing body and it should be in one structure because that's what women's football is needing. And it's for somebody that's watched women's football for a long time in Scotland, it's so good to see. So we'll talk a bit more about Aberdeen here, Jenna, and obviously you had a good spell Aberdeen in the SWPL2 that season, won the league, got promoted. So what was it like gaining promotion to the SWPL1 as champions?
Yeah, it was really good. It was kind of showed that all our hard work throughout the year paid off. And I think people had come in, they weren't too sure how we would do, obviously going back to back demotions to promotion kind of again and getting pushed up straight away. I think it just kind of showed how hard we worked as a team together and how everybody just got on really well together. I think only lost a few games that season, and then the game where we found out we won was against Dundee United. So I think that was a really exciting game, and just kind of showed that, as I said, everyone's hard work paid off and was really, really good.
Yeah, and obviously you just mentioned there, so a new firm Derby win to get promoted. That must have been amazing. What were the feelings in that game?
Yeah, everyone was absolutely buzzing. I think our first game of the season was against Dundee United, and that was a bit of a close one. We came back from behind in like the last minute, and then I think we played really well in that last game that we played against them. I'm not quite sure what the score was, but we scored a few decent goals, and it's just good scenes afterwards. Everyone was jumping on top of each other, congratulating everyone. So it was a really good day.
You're allowed to say there was a massive session after he's won the league. It's all right. This is a safe space. Nah, so that then obviously got promoted. And what was it like, making the step from SWPL 2 to SWPL 1? Obviously, Aberdeen actually handled the pressure really well. I thought they've been like ducks to water as a newly promoted side. I've been really impressed with Aberdeen so far this season, looking like for a safe mid-table side. So what was like the pressure like, and what was the difference in level between the PL1 and the PL2?
I think you can definitely see the difference in level and ability. We were lucky enough to have a fair few players that had played at the top flight before, coaches who'd experienced it. So for us younger ones, it didn't feel as daunting because we kind of had that support behind us. And then I think playing against the top teams like Rangers and stuff, obviously that's going to be more difficult than some other teams, but it was obviously a great experience being a young player playing in the top leagues and playing against Scotland internationalists and playing alongside players who have been up in that setup. And it was a great experience and still is. I'm still learning. So it's really good.
That's really good to hear. I think it is brilliant, that you Aberdeen were a squad that's got that good mix of youth and experience to me. I think that's why they've done so well. Because obviously compared to other newly promoted sides, Hamilton and Partick, who have maybe just been like that down that lower half of the table, Aberdeen have just like really handled it well. So yeah, and it's good to hear that you're enjoying the experience as well. At the end of the day, that's what football's all about. No matter what level you play, it's about enjoying yourself and enjoying the sport. So is there? I think I know the answer to this, but is there a favourite standout moment for you as an Aberdeen when you were at Aberdeen as an Aberdeen player?
I think for me personally, when obviously we lost the game to Celtic in the end, but getting that assist to Celtic, obviously it was an own goal, but left foot shot in there. That was exciting for me personally. And then I think as a team, I think for me it was difficult because we had a big win against Hearts just before I left. I was out injured, but I think as a team that was a really, really good game for us, to get such a big win against a team who's kind of like rivals alongside of us. I think that was their Hearts' biggest loss of the season. So to kind of put in a statement that we're getting more goals than maybe some of the City, Rangers and stuff, that was, as a team, that was really, really good.
Well, anything that's at Hearts' disadvantage is good for me. Not that I'm petty or anything like that, but yeah, no, it's I take a bit of a good word for it, Schadenfreude when Hearts lose. But we'll move on to Hibs now. And first of all, Jenna, so what attracted you to Hibs as a club, and sort of talk me through how you ended up at Hibs?
I think obviously Hibs have been one of the top women's sides in Scotland for a long time. They're always like backing support that they have from the fans has always just been incredible. And I remember growing up, Hibs were probably the first women's side that I'd heard of, being one of the bigger clubs. And then just their professional side of it, they're obviously taking steps in the right direction as a team. And it's in Edinburgh, which was also really attractive to me. I wanted to go study there in September. So that was a big reason as well. And then when I spoke to Dean, it was really exciting from what he was saying, and I was like, couldn't really see another option, and I thought it was just really good.
That's good to hear. I think that's it. Hibs outside obviously Glasgow City, they're a women's standalone team. We're the most successful out of the ones that are connected to a men's club. So I think that's how it does attract players, and obviously we've had that. We've played in the Champions League, we've won all those League Cups and everything like that. So obviously it's great to see that we're an attractive club to come to, because I don't think there's many Aberdeen players that come to Hibs men right now. So it's good to see that at least we can attract players over the women's side of things. I don't think Lewis Ferguson and that are coming to Hibs anytime soon. As much as I'd like it, because they're good players, I don't think it's happening. So the next one for you is, And I think this is an important one again. I think I mentioned it back there, and against Hearts. But how did it feel to come off the bench in that Edinburgh derby? When obviously it's your first Edinburgh derby as well. You got on off the bench 4-1. That was our third derby win of the season, and I think it's about our fifth or sixth in a row now. So, what was that like for you to get on and get minutes in a derby victory?
Yeah, it was incredible. I think from coming from Aberdeen, you've not really obviously got Dundee United, but you've not really kind of got that big derby. So like kind of getting that experience one under my belt was fantastic, and just everyone's reaction to winning, the whole team and the coaches and stuff, it's just really exciting. And then kind of get to play in a big game like that is nothing more you want, is there?
Exactly, and that's it. And obviously, the natural order kept going. It was brilliant. I think, I've been at all three. I was at the one at Easter Road, I was at the one at Tynecastle, and obviously I was at that one. And it was just spectacular to see it because, as a Hibs fan, when the men's team derby wins are few and far between. So it's great to see that you as a team, getting the big results in there. It's brilliant. I absolutely love it. So yeah, we're doing well, and hopefully we can continue that dominance over into next season as well. So even although you didn't get to play on the night, what was it like to experience Easter Road under the lights for the game against Partick? That must have been, quite amazing. Even though you didn't get on and you were on the bench, it still must have been amazing to sort of experience Easter Road on a match day under the floodlights and everything like that in a big stadium. Because obviously, unfortunately, you never got the chance to play at Pit Audrey when you were at Aberdeen. So, what was it like to finally experience like a big stadium under the lights?
Yeah, definitely. It's always exciting playing in stadiums. And when I was at Dundee United, played at Tynecastle. So I think coming here and playing a home game in a stadium like Easter Road was just fantastic. It's warming up, and you kind of got all the young girls coming in, all the fans, the parents, everyone coming. It's just exciting when you go to warm up. All these little kids are rushing down to give you high fives, and really special experience. It's great.
Yeah,
And
unfortunately, you and Rosie were right in front of me on the bench, so you could hear what I was shouting at the referee. Unfortunately, but yeah, no, it was an amazing night. Like I said, I've been to both the games that were played at Easter Road, and it's just great to see. And it's great to see all the young girls and that coming out. That I think the important thing. I think Jane Lewis mentioned it on a podcast that she was saying, for women's football, it's seeing it, it's for it being visible for girls to want to get into football. So it was amazing to see. And for me, as somebody who's watched the women's team for a long, long time, it was just great to see both those moments. But yeah, like I said, I do apologise to you, Rosie, for some of the stuff that was coming out of my mouth that night. But yeah, I get a bit animated. I get a bit animated at the football. But yeah, quickly moving on. You've not been at Hibs long, but has there been a favourite moment in a Hibs shirt so far for you?
I think probably the Derby win coming on there, and then it's just such a big occasion, and kind of seeing how excited everyone got about it. It makes you feel more part of the team. Being part of big wins like that, it just integrates you that a little bit more. So I think probably that for me. But every time I go on the pitch is exciting. Every minute that you get to kind of learn from players here, just it's fantastic. Like the ability and the experience that all the players have. I think every single time is just really exciting for me.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I like that answer. It's a good one. And obviously, what are your aspirations in a Hibs shirt? Is there anything you particularly want to achieve when you're with Hibs as a club, or are you just happy to play for the club? What's that sort of like for you?
I think right now it's just kind of growing a wee bit more, getting more game time, getting on the ball, getting more part of the team, I guess, helping the team win as much as we can. But I'd love to be here long term, and then I'd love to play football as long as I can, really. So if I can do that in Hibshire, that'd be fantastic.
That's brilliant to hear. Hopefully, it's you're with us for a long time and you can sort of get that experience you want. It's great to hear that the players want to come to us and get experience. I think that's fantastic to hear. So we are just talking about Easter Road there, and it's something that came into my head. I didn't have it prepared, but it came into my head about Parkhead. What was that like? I mean, obviously we lost, unfortunately, but was it like to have the atmosphere? Obviously, the Green Brigade were there. Unfortunately for me, I was right next to them and I had a thumping headache. And even though I don't want to, I know all the words to the Celtic Symphony now. It's absolutely, I mean, I can't get out my head ever since I've been sitting next to them. See, when they repeat a song 4 times, it's like, nah. And also, keep your shirts on. That's what I've got to say as well. Keep your shirts on, for God's sake. But yeah, what was it like getting to play at Parkhead and that sort of, I mean, biggest stadium in Scotland, biggest football stadium in Scotland, and obviously the atmosphere as well, because the Celtic fans, as much as like I said, the thumping headache. It was good to hear them put on an atmosphere. It's great to see that women's football. So what was that day at Parkhead like?
Yeah, it was special. It's definitely obviously not the result that we intended, that we went there for, but you take that aside and you look at the experience. It's not many people, especially female players, can say that they've played at Parkhead with that atmosphere. And as you said, they were really loud. You couldn't hear much when you're actually on the pitch. And then even all the young Celtic fans, all the older Celtic fans, it was they had a good, decent turnout, and the day was fantastic. The sun was shining. So, take out the result, the experience, and the day was really good, really special.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me as a fan. It was just great to see the team play in such a big stadium. I think that was it for me. It was all, I knew, like, irrespective of the result, I was still going to have a good day. It was great to come along, sit in the sunshine, watch a football game, enjoy yourself. That was a bit, I think it was like a bit less tense, and obviously like Hibs Celtic in the men's football was like quite a big game. So it was a bit less tense to go, like, and I'm talking about in terms of like the atmosphere is like toxic at Celtic Park when you play in the men's football. So it was great to go and just like enjoy yourself, because even though Green Brigade were there, they weren't, they were loud, but they weren't sort of as aggressive as they maybe would be at any other game. And I had all the Celtic fans. And it was good to be like mixed in as well. And I think it was a great atmosphere, and it was a great day. Take the result out of it, as you said, it was a great day for women's football in Scotland as well, which is great to see. So I always like to finish up with a wee tough question for my guests, Jenna. So here's this one for you. Where do you see yourself as a footballer in 5 years? If you look 5 years down the line, where do you think you'll be as a footballer?
In 5 years, I think I would just like to have made a lot of progress. I don't know where I see myself playing, but I definitely like to still be playing. I would like to probably be looking at pushing for international stuff. I still be quite young, so whether that comes or not, it may be in 10 years or so, but definitely still playing, have made so much progress. Hopefully can do that here at Hibs, and if a time comes that I'm ready to go on, I've made enough progress here that I can move on, that would be fantastic. But I think for me right now, it's just learning while I'm here and trying to gain as much experience as I can.
Brilliant. That's a fantastic answer, Jen. I've got to say, because some people really struggle with that one. So great to hear. So that concludes the interview, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, everyone. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Smash that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Loads of unique football and content like this. And all that's left to be said is thank you so much for joining me, Jenna.
No, thank you very much. It was really good.
So remember, guys, like I said, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Jack out.